All right, well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Advanced Recruiting Strategies webinar. This is part one of a four-part series. Congratulations for being here, and I'm excited to spend the next 4 weeks with you diving into the best advanced recruiting strategies that I've collected and been taught myself and utilized and leveraged and harnessed over the years. A little bit of housekeeping as we get going. First of all, a couple of apologies. I apologize. We overloaded the system. I did not anticipate the numbers of people that have registered. I knew we'd have a lot, but we have a lot more than a lot. So I had to upgrade the system, which required everybody to have to register again. So I apologize for that. And I do believe also that one of the emails that went out said that it was going to be, the webinar was going to be at the wrong time. So I apologize, but it's a good problem to have because there's a huge interest out there in the field all across the country for people wanting to know how to recruit more people. The call, not the call, but the webinar will be every Wednesday in the month of June. So a 4-week process tonight and then 3 other nights. I encourage you to invite as many people as you want to listen in. Just to be clear, the webinars are 8 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. And before I forget, let me just say a quick hello to not only the team, all of Legal Shield team and my personal organization, but also to the state of Idaho. I was on a leadership call the other day in the state, and one of the regional managers, Nels Jensen, asked if it would be possible to do a recruiting webinar like I've done in the past, 4 weeks, really deep dive. I thought, hey, that's a great idea. So that's the inspiration here. But then I thought, hey, let's not just do Idaho. Let's invite anybody that wants to participate. So I encourage you all to share this with as many people as you want to. Also, all webinars and PDF versions of the PowerPoint or the keynote presentations will be archived at my personal development blog, cshughes.com/webinar, all lowercase. So all the webinar videos, the playbacks, the PDF version of the PowerPoint, as well as the PowerPoint, all of those will be available and archived at that website you see there. If you have any questions, please use the chat feature. This, of course, is only available on live webinars. For those of you listening to this on a playback, we won't be able to answer any questions. If we don't do a Q&A tonight, make sure that you write your questions down. We will be doing Q&As on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th webinars, so make sure that you have those and come prepared to ask those questions inside of the webinar. As we dive in, I want you to look at that foundation. Any structure that you're going to build, you've got to build it on a strong foundation, whether it be a house or a building or any other structure. I'll never forget going to tour the new office building, the new complex for Legal Shield. I was there at groundbreaking and was there when they were doing the foundation. And they drove concrete so deep into the ground so as to make it earthquake proof and tornado proof. But the reason that building is so strong is not necessarily because of what's above the ground, but because of what's below the ground. And so today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some below the ground work. It may or may not be exactly what you're looking for or hoping for, but what good is it to throw up a structure without a proper foundation? So we're going to establish a foundation tonight. We're going to start with why. Best-selling author Simon Sinek, he wrote the book, the international bestseller, Start With Why, How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action. And the reason why Apple Incorporated is the #1 company in the world, they're worth more than any company in the history of the world. And the reason why that is because they didn't start their company thinking how or thinking what. They started their company, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, all those years ago. It was why. Why are we doing this? We're going to bring computing into the mainstream. We're going to make computing beautiful, simple, and fun so everybody can do it. They knew why they were in business, and it's why they dominate the world. It's why everybody wants the iPhone, iPad, and the iPod, so many I's. and they're using iTunes on their computers and the Apple Watch. Because they know to start with why. So we're going to start with why tonight. But look, when we recruit people into Legal Shield, where do we start? Right here, the first step document. Look at that. A. Right when we get them started. We don't talk about what. We don't talk about how. We talk about why. Simon Sinek wrote a book and became a bestseller, and the business community is like, oh my gosh, this guy's such a genius. Well, we've understood this for a very, very long time. This is how we start with all of our new associates. We start out with, why are you here? Why did you invest that money? What is it that you want to accomplish in your career with Legal Shield? Well, now tonight what we're going to talk about is, yes, we know we need to start with why, but not why are you doing this business, but why recruit? Why is it that you should be recruiting? Why should you be recruiting, Mach 2, Mach 3, Mach 4 with your hair on fire? Why? Not why recruit. More specifically, why should you recruit? I mean, let's just be practical. Any company in the country, in the world, if they stop recruiting, they're out of business because people die and quit. People get sick and move on. McDonald's has a 95% first-year turnover rate. So in other words, if they hire 100 people in 1 year, 9.5 of those 100 are gone after a year. That's crazy. Well, if they stop recruiting, they're dead. What happens if the United States military stops recruiting? We're not going to be the United States anymore. China or some other country will come here and plant their flag. We'll no longer be the United States of America. So those are some pretty practical reasons for why recruit. But why should you recruit? Think about families. Man and woman get together, they have babies. Right? If the babies don't live, that's the end of that bloodline. That's the end of that family name. And it's a tragedy, but it happens all the time. So again, these are reasons to grow, reasons to expand. But why should you recruit? For me, it's about freedom. It's about buying back your freedom from the bank. It's about the freedom to be a mom, the freedom to be a dad, the freedom to come and go as you please, the freedom to see this world that God made for you, to enjoy the beauty and the variety. This incredible planet that's our home for a short period of time. The freedom to send missionaries around the world, the freedom to buy whatever you want to buy, the freedom to buy your significant other, your spouse, wife, husband, the car that they've always wanted, to get them their dream house that they've always wanted. This is why you recruit. But not only that, so that you can take a day off, you can take a week off if you need to, if you want to. My brother Jeff got cancer. He wasn't able to work for years. He continued to get paid every single day because of his Legal Shield business. And unfortunately now, his wife Cindy is battling breast cancer. Well, thank goodness they have a Legal Shield business. And thank goodness they recruited and they built this team so it will continue to sustain them while they're focusing on Cindy's health. But freedom to do whatever it is that you want to do, that's why for me to send my kids to a private school where they're only in school Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 4 hours a day. When they come home, they're mine. I get to teach them what I want to teach them. My wife gets to teach them what she wants to teach them. We get to teach them our standards, the principles, the strategies, the concepts, the ideas that are important to us. Freedom to do what you want. That's why I recruit. So you've got to figure out why you recruit. Here's some more reasons why. J. Paul Getty, founder of Getty Oil, the richest living American, says Forbes magazine, 1957. And here's what he said. I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. Because what happens if the one gets sick? You being the one. What happens if the one dies? What happens if the one gets fired? The one gets laid off? The one can't go to work anymore? What a risky proposition. And we all bought into that hook, line, and sinker. Go to school, get good grades, get a good job. Go work for somebody else. Be a cog in somebody else's wheel. Build another man's dream. Build another woman's dream. That was the plan Do you think the wealthiest people, the wealthiest families in this country are telling their children to go to school, get good grades, get a good job? No, they're telling them to educate themselves so that they can employ your children and my children. J. Paul Getty understood that if you're ever going to be truly wealthy and truly free to come and go and do and buy and see and become and enjoy all that you want to do and see and become and buy and enjoy, the only way you really truly are going to be able to do that is by having leverage. What is leverage? There's a couple of ways to get leverage in your life. You can buy real estate. If you have money, you can leverage your money. You can create leverage with your money. You can invest in companies. You can invest in stocks. You can invest in real estate and get money from your money. Well, most people don't have money to make money with their money. That's why network marketing is so exciting, why Legal Shield is so exciting, because if you've just got a couple $100 in desire, you can go big here. You don't need a lot of money. You don't need a skill set. You can pick up all that stuff along the way. You can get paid while you're learning. But if you want to have freedom, you've got to be recruiting. And again, J. Paul Getty, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. What if you had 100 leaders in Legal Shield? Not just 100 people. A lot of people have 100 people. What if you had 100 leaders? What if you had 100 producers? What if you had 100 people that were recruiting at least one a month? Can you imagine the freedom and the income that would create in your life? Zig Ziglar said, you can have everything you want, everything in life you want, if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. Well, how can you help people get what they want? I love that quote, but I really believe that quote was created for network marketing, because our compensation structure in network marketing was designed to do just this, that you could focus on helping 3, 4, 5 people get whatever it is that they want, and if you help them do that, you can get what you want. But how can you help other people get what they want if you don't recruit them? So just one more reason to recruit. You've got to keep on recruiting. And what we're trying to do here as we lay this foundation is I'm trying to strike a nerve. Why should you be recruiting? What is it that you want? Frank Aucoin did this on the Leadership Show a couple of weeks ago, and it blew my mind. It was so incredibly powerful, and I want to share it with you all tonight. So he talks about, how to live life when you're retired, how to be a millionaire, okay? How to be a millionaire. Here's one way to be a millionaire. Save $1 million, okay? So just first of all, think about this. How many people in this country, on a percentage basis, save $1 million? Can we agree it's less than 1%? Save $1 million. Let's just say it's 1%. Let's be generous. Let's say it's 2%. I think it's probably less than 1 that save $1 million. If they save $1 million and they've got it, in some saved, some invested, they've got an average return, let's say of 5%. And if you get 5% today, you are a lucky dog. But let's just say 5% annual interest. You're going to be making $50,000 a year in passive income. And that's what it would be like to live like a millionaire, right? People think that, if you're a millionaire, that you're just loaded. If you've got $1 million in the bank, you're a millionaire. But guess what? The money's in the bank. It's not like you're, living on it. It's in the bank and it's drawing interest. At 5%, you're getting $50,000 a year. Big whoop. That's life as a millionaire. Of course, if you just have $1 million. Well, that's one way to live life as a millionaire and to create $50,000 a year in passive income. The other way is that throughout your life, instead of saving $1 million and putting it in the bank, just buy 10 $100,000 rental homes. Buy 10 $100,000 rental properties. You earn, let's say, $400 a month in cash flow. So let's say the rent is, $800. Your mortgage is $400, $450, something like that. So let's say you're cash flowing $400 a month, positive cash flow, on 10 houses. I didn't put the math in here, but on 10 houses, would be about $4,000 a month in positive cash flow. Now that doesn't include, when the toilets go out, when the roof goes out, it doesn't include any of that. This is just assuming you get to bring in all the money. That's $50,000 a year in passive income. If you spend $1 million buying 10 rental homes. Now keep in mind, you can't get any more than $50,000 because all your money's tied up in those houses. The only way to get more than $50,000 a year is to sell one of those houses. But if you sell one of those houses, then your annual passive income is going to go down. So here's another way to live like a millionaire. I mean, does that sound like the life that you want? To buy all those houses and just to make $50,000 a year? Well, here's another option, and this should look familiar because it's in our business briefing slides. Let's go back. You may not ever be able to save $1 million. Most of us may not ever be able to save $1 million. We may not want to save $1 million. We might be wanting to do other things with it. But the fact of the matter is, most people never earn $1 million, much less save $1 million. And most of us aren't going to buy 10 rental homes for whatever reason, for a myriad of different reasons. But could we all recruit 3 people? Could we, even if it took us 10, 15, 20 years, could we find 3 leaders who could find 3 leaders who could find 3 leaders? And keep in mind, you've got your day job. You've got money coming in. You're doing what you do. You're building your Legal Shield business. You're taking some of that money and improving your lifestyle. You're taking some of that money paying off debt. You're taking some of that money and putting it back into the business. So your quality of life is way better building a Legal Shield business, even part-time. But you're just looking for those 3 leaders to find their 3 leaders to find their 3 leaders. And this is just an example of 39 leaders, okay? Now, does a Legal Shield limit you to 39? No. Could you have 40? Yep. Could you have 50? Yep. 100? Yep. 500? Yep. 1,000? Frank Coyne did a call with, he and I did a call with Brian Carruthers earlier, and Frank Coyne said his organization is over 60,000 strong now. So, we're talking about 39, not 60,000. And in this example that we hear every week at the business briefing, if those 39 people do one $39 transaction a month, that's $1,400 a month for the upline director. And maybe their executive director, whatever. We're not going to get into the nuances of this. The point is, what's easier, saving $1 million, buying $1 million worth of property, and in both examples, earning $50,000 a year, or instead of spending 40 years trying to save $1 million just so you can have $50,000 a year in passive income, why not spend the next season of your life part-time just looking for 3 leaders? Now you might have to recruit dozens of people. You may have to recruit 100 people to find 3 leaders. But would it not be worth it? Is not recruiting 100 people at, say, 2, 3, 4 people a month, over 2, 3 years, is that not easier than saving $1 million when most people will never earn $1 million? Of course it's easier. Now, if those same 39 leaders, 39 producers, if they just do one $39 transaction a week, that's $6,000 a month in income for you. If those same 39 leaders, 39 producers do one $39 transaction per day, it's almost $45,000 a month. A month, y'all. $45,000 a month from 39 separate $39 transactions. We're not talking about saving $1 million so that you can earn $50,000 a year. We're talking about finding 3 or find 3 or find 3 to earn $45,000 a month in passive override income. And that doesn't count the residual income. And by the way, let me say this, that at convention, when we go into convention, July 2015, well, I'll just leave it at that. But it's about to get good, I'll tell you that. As good as it is, it's about to get even better. So again, you've got to ask yourself, do you want to hope that you earn $1 million, hope that you can save $1 million, and hope that you can invest it wisely enough to get a 5% return and live on $50,000 a year and let that take you 40 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? Or do you want to somehow buy $100,000 real estate properties that are going to net you $400,000 or $4,000 a month, $50,000 a year? I mean, let's be real, y'all. That's not going to happen for 99% of the people hearing this message. Hopefully it will. You know, it's possible for all of us, but the reality is that it's probably not going to happen for most people. But could we all get 3? Yes. Yes. And would you have a better shot at finding 3 leaders in 10 years than you would at saving $1 million in 10 years? You better believe it. And would you have a better shot at finding 3 leaders in 10 years? And I know I'm being ridiculous. I found 3 leaders in 3 years. Some people, it takes them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Some people found 3 leaders in their first month. Literally. But whatever it is it not worth it? Even if it took you 10 years. Even if it took you 15 years, isn't that better than 40? And isn't $40,000 a month better than $50,000 a year? You know, I've had months $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. I'm telling you what, that is enough. You're making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. That is enough, man. You can do it. Whatever it is, you can do it. And that's what I wish for all of us, is to experience that kind of income. So again, we're just looking at why should you recruit. So start with why. Now, why don't people recruit? I've given you some things to think about, why recruit. But now I think we need to answer the question, why don't people recruit? Like, the world is your oyster. You can have time and money freedom. Why in the world? I don't get it. Why would people come into this business? I mean, there are some people that turn their nose up to recruiting. Hey, I don't want to recruit, and we'll talk about that in detail in a moment. And some people say, well, I'm just not a good recruiter. Well, look, my question for you is, how long do you want that to be the case? I mean, how long do you want to wait before you find your 3 so they can find their 3? And so on and so forth. And by the way, I was earning $10,000 a month in Legal Shield by having just found 3 leaders. And they hadn't all found their 3 yet. But I found my 3, and with my 3, I was earning, $140,000, $150,000, $160,000, $170,000 a year. So why people don't recruit, there are real reasons why people don't recruit. And I don't want to make anybody feel bad. That's not the point. But we do need to dive into this. We need to kind of diagnose why it is that people don't recruit, or don't recruit consistently, or don't recruit enough. So there's 5 reasons that I came up with, and there may be others, but I think most of them would fit into these categories. Number 1, they don't know why they should be recruiting. They don't understand. They don't get some of the things that we've already talked about as we're laying the foundation for this webinar series. Number 2, they have fear. They're afraid of a lot of things, afraid of, looking stupid, afraid they're not going to do it right, afraid of what people are going to say. Number 3 is ignorance of our profession. They do not understand network marketing. We'll talk about that at great length. They don't know how to recruit. And that's why we're doing this webinar, to help people out, to help you have the how-tos, the why-tos, but you got to have the how-tos as well. And number 5, they lack the skills. So they lack the knowledge. Number 4, they don't know how, but they also lack the application, the actual ability, the skill set to do it. So let's look at these individually, going back. Oh, I'm skipping ahead here. But these are the 5 reasons, and it looks like they're out of order. So we'll just work with this as they come. But they're fearful. Why? What are they fearful of? Number 1, they're ignorant of our profession. We've already talked about that. It's ignorance of our profession is going to make you fearful. If you don't understand the profession that you're in, and how amazing it is, and how fair it is, and how much integrity there is in our profession, and how equitable it is, if you get this stuff, you'll be 10 feet tall and bulletproof. But most people don't get this stuff, and it's why they're fearful. Number 2, they don't know how. They don't know how. We're going to talk about that. So a lot of these are overlapping. If you're seeing this, again, they don't have the skills. They worry what others are going to think, and they have wrong and limiting beliefs. Like, well, recruiting is, and I'm quoting somebody that I've talked to over the years, if you recruit, you're just nothing but an adult daycare center, you know? This is somebody who thinks they have to babysit people. I've heard people say, literally, people say from the front of the room, recruiting is a waste of time. I can't get anybody to do anything. It's because they don't get it. First of all, they clearly don't get it to say something crazy and reckless like that from the front of the room, but they have these limiting beliefs. They don't understand our business and all the others. And I think this bullet point is going to go super fast. I couldn't figure out how to fix that in the PowerPoint, but take a quick look. Here we go. Okay, and the other one was low self-esteem. And I'll just tell you this. I was listening to Artemis Limpert, who I think is one of the most amazing trainers in all of network marketing. But she said low self-esteem is nothing more or less than an overestimation of your own importance. People, oh, I got low self-esteem. And I've struggled with this for many, many years. And it's something that I'm still working on. But I've never heard it put that way, that low self-esteem, and certainly to use as an excuse to not perform at your peak, is nothing more or less than an overestimation of your own importance. Don't play God. Don't say, well, I'm not going to do it because I have low self-esteem. I'm insecure. I'm afraid of what my friends are going to say. Look, God blesses people through people. And there are people in your life that need a blessing that God was willing to bless. And perhaps the only way he can bless them is through you. And some of us are being selfish and wallowing in our misery and saying, well, I got low self-esteem. I don't feel good about myself. And these are real issues, and I get that. I understand that. I'm not trying to be flippant or disrespectful, but man, that really helped me to understand that low self-esteem and using that as a crutch is an overestimation of your own importance. Get yourself out of the way and let's start blessing people. If you're going over to their house to rob them, well, of course be fearful. If you're going over to their house to twist their arm, well, of course be fearful. But if you're going over to their house to bless them, to help them, to serve them, to liberate them, to help them have more happiness, more time, more money, more freedom, spend more time with their kids, spend more time traveling, get out of debt, pay for college. What are we afraid of? Well, let's go through that list. People are afraid because they're ignorant of our profession. What is the profession? It's network marketing. This isn't one of those thingies. This is a profession, and in fact, it's one of the highest paid professions in the world. One of the highest paid professions in the world. Network marketing. And before we get into that, this is the house. This is our house, Legal Shield. And there's two wings in our house. We have the professional selling side of the house, and we have the network marketing side of the house. And I need to make a distinction at this point in the webinar. If you are someone who does the professional selling, B2B, you're doing groups, small business, CDLP, even selling, face-to-face with your friends, family, neighbors, all that. You're out there. You're a professional salesperson. Here's my training for you. You better get good. You better be dang good, and you better know all the answers to the questions. And you've got to know the compensation, and you have to know the memberships, and you've got to know what's covered and what's not covered. You've got to know how we compare with LifeLock, and you've got to know how we compare with other companies. Right? You have to know all this stuff, because if you're a professional seller, you got to know it. It's not like you can be sitting there with a high-powered business owner or insurance professional and say to them, you know what, that's a good question. Let me call my manager, you could get away with it in some instances, but it just doesn't work the same in that environment. So I need you to know that moving forward, as we talk about recruiting, I'm talking about recruiting in the context of network marketing. However, if you're in the professional selling side of the house, look, you've got to recruit. How long can you keep that pace, working 8, 10, 12 hours a day, calling on companies, being on the phone, hitting the doors? That's hard work. And it's not something everybody can do forever. There's a small percentage of people that can do it, but not everybody can do it. Well, the network marketing side of the house It's so much easier. Not easier to build, but just the activities are easier. And we're going to talk about what it is that we do. But if you're a network marketer, you got to recruit. Give yourself leverage, more money, more freedom. If you're on the professional selling side of the house, you got to recruit. Give yourself more freedom, more money, more flexibility, passive income. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if you're earning $100, $200, $300, or $1,000 a day from somebody else? So just know moving forward that as we talk about recruiting, we're talking about network marketing, okay? Network marketing. Now, people are ignorant of our profession. And when I say profession, I don't mean professional selling. That's the other side of the house. I'm talking about network marketing. People don't understand it. They think it's one of those pyramid things, and we'll talk about that. But if you're hearing that a lot, like, is that one of those pyramid things? Oh, this sounds like a pyramid. If you're hearing that a lot, I'm going to challenge you to pay particularly close attention to the following, the next several slides. Because if you're hearing that a lot, here's what it means. It means that you're not yet comfortable with network marketing. Because from my own personal experience and the experience of many, many other people who have overcome their ignorances about our profession, they hardly ever, I can't remember the last time I got that concern or that question. Oh, this is one of them pyramid deals. Is this one of them pyramids? Oh, is this even legal? Like, I don't hear that anymore. Why? Because I am rock solid. I am an advocate. I am what's the word? It'll come to me in a moment. But I love our profession, especially with Legal Shield overlaid on top of network marketing, or network marketing overlaid on top of Legal Shield. And I'll talk about why I'm so passionate about it in a moment. But just know that if you're hearing that concern when you're out recruiting, that this is one of those pyramids, it's just because you're not comfortable with our profession. You don't get how amazing it is. And I hope that I can help you with that. Now, is there anything wrong with a pyramid? It's the strongest shape known to man. We should all be very excited about a pyramid. It's the strongest shape known to man. It's the shape of your family tree. It's the shape of our government. It's the shape of our military. Some of the oldest structures in the world that are still standing even through history are pyramids. Again, because the strongest shape known to man. And also they're the shape of every corporation. So no, there's nothing wrong with the shape of the pyramid. What is it that people are concerned about? Well, they've heard that, there's these pyramid companies where you get 3 people to give you $5,000, and then, those 3 people get 3 people to give them $5,000 each, and so they turn 5,000 into 15,000. That's a quote pyramid. That's what we think of when we think of pyramid. And pyramids are illegal. Legal Shield, network marketing, direct sales is not a pyramid. Pyramids are either corporate America or they are illegal. Okay? So these are the questions and the ways that people say this. The people at the top make all the money while the people at the bottom do all the work. That's not a pyramid. That's not our company. That's corporate America. The people at the top make all the money. The people at the bottom do all the work. Right? People at the bottom, they got to show up every single day. A lot of them don't even get sick pay. People at the top, they've got nice benefits, cushy salaries. Some of them, several hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. They can take off a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, paid vacation, stock options, and all the rest. Meanwhile, the people at the bottom are doing all the work. So no, that has nothing to do with Legal Shield. Yes, you are describing a pyramid, but Legal Shield is not that. Legal Shield is Legal Shield. This is free enterprise. This is business ownership. You're describing corporate America. And then they say things like, well, you got to pay money and get people under you and you make money off of them. You're describing business ownership, but you're not describing a pyramid. Pyramids are illegal. What you've described is like McDonald's, where you invest $1 million, $2 million, and you bring people on to make the fries, make the burgers, pour the Cokes, take the money, sweep the floors, take out the trash. You pay them a percentage of what they're really worth, and you get the override. You get the rest. So yeah, you've described business ownership, but yeah, no, that's not a pyramid. Pyramids are illegal. Okay, so these are concepts that I learned 15 years ago that just help me understand. Wow, yeah, like what have I been worried about? Why am I so scared? Here's the reality, y'all. Network marketing is the most fair business model available to anybody. It's the most fair business model available to anyone. Why? Because your pedigree doesn't matter. We don't care if you come from a great family, bad family, strong family, weak family, educated. It doesn't matter. Pedigree doesn't matter. Your background doesn't matter. Your finances don't matter. You can get in business for a couple $100. Your education doesn't matter. Who you know doesn't matter. You might know some powerful people, but if you can't get them in the business, it doesn't matter, right? Who you know doesn't matter. Even if you don't know anybody, you can go out and meet those people and get them into your business. So who you know doesn't matter. Race doesn't matter. There's nobody at the home office telling the different races inside of Legal Shield, no, Brian Crothers, you can't earn that much money because you're white. Darnell South, you can't earn that much money because you're black, you're African American. No, Kim Melia, you can't earn that much money because you're a woman. There's, gender doesn't matter, race doesn't matter, religion doesn't matter, sexual orientation doesn't matter. None of these things matter. Disabilities don't matter. There are people that are quote unquote disabled, and I know many people don't see themselves in that way, but the mainstream would consider these people disabled, yet they're out earning by multiple times in Legal Shield. Many of these, quote, disabled people are out earning, quote, able-bodied people. So disabilities don't matter. Now, this is what a traditional company looks like. Is this a fair business model? Does this look fair to you? You have a CEO who makes the most money, president makes the second most, vice presidents under them, middle management, team leaders, supervisors, and then you've got your hardworking employees. We like to call them imps, or today they're called temps because they're temporary. Many of them don't have benefits. They don't have sick time. They don't have any of those things. And those people at the bottom, they have virtually no shot, zero shot at becoming the CEO. Think about this. When was the last time you heard of somebody that started working at the bottom of a very large, successful, established corporation and worked their way all the way up and ended up as the CEO of the company? It does happen, but the odds of it happening are so astronomically small, it's not even worth mentioning. Well, so in this example, by the way, the higher you are in the pay structure, the higher you are in this structure, the more money you're making. The lower you are in this structure, the less money you're making. Well, let's compare that to Legal Shield. Here's the reality. There are people above me who make less money than me. And there are people below me that have made more money than me. And the same is probably true with you, and if it's not now, it will be. There will come a time in your business where you will out-earn your upline. There will be people in your upline who you will make more money than. See, so structure doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they came in 20 years ago. It doesn't matter. Structure doesn't matter. It's their ability to bring value to the marketplace that matters. It's your ability to bring value to the marketplace through recruiting, through building an organization. Let me give you an example. My brother Jeff and his wife Cindy were recruited by a woman named Judy Garton. I love her. She's our angel. She saved the Hughes family. She recruited just a few people, but she was only able to get one leg to build. She got Jeff Hughes. She recruited Jeff and Cindy Hughes, and they started building. Well, there's, I don't know, if I had to guess, I'd say about 80,000, maybe 90,000 people in that one leg. But see, Jeff makes more money than Judy. Why? Because Jeff didn't just build one leg, Jeff built multiple legs. So he brought more value to the marketplace than Judy did. And this is not to say anything bad about Judy, it just is what it is. Jeff found a way to build more teams than Judy did. Therefore, Jeff out-earns Judy, even though Judy is up, right? She's in the support team. But then there are also people below Jeff and Cindy Hughes that make more money than they do. And why is that? Maybe they built a little bigger business. They provided more value to the marketplace. So again, network marketing is the most fair business model available to anyone. Let's look at how some other reasons why it's fair. Well, you can only have one CEO, maybe two. You know, I just think having two CEOs is crazy. There was a time Legal Shield had two CEOs, and that was a short-lived scenario. You know, what's the old quote? I love the quote, the quickest way to kill a dog is to assign two people to feed it. You know, it's so true. It's like, wait, I thought you were going to do that. And, hey, that's not my role. That's not my responsibility. One of the other famous companies that had co-CEOs was BlackBerry. You know, you can just take a look at how they're doing. One of the co-CEOs there, I forget the guy's name, but when the iPhone came out and they're dominating the world, the co-CEO of BlackBerry said, people don't need apps. You know, and when I heard him say that, I thought, oh, bye-bye, 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 BlackBerry. Like, you're right, people don't need apps, but guess what? Apple's on the scene. You know what I mean? And they have created apps, and they change the behavior of the world. They change smartphones forever. You're right, people don't need apps, but they want apps, and they're going to demand apps, and if you're not going to give them apps, they're going to get them somewhere else. And that's what they did. And between Droid and the Droid product and the Apple products, they dominate the world. So I'm off track, but one, maybe two people can be the CEO at a time. Well, that's not fair. That's not a fair business model. It's not a model that a guy like me, right? I don't have a college education. I've got a self-education. I continue to build on that every day of my life. I try to, but I don't have those diplomas. So a guy like me, the odds of me going into a company, let me give you an example. I was looking at, I read an article the other day, and it talked about how that if you want to get a job at Apple, and forgive me, I'm like an Apple nerd, so I know everything about Apple. I read several articles about what Apple's doing every day in their products. It's just my hobby, and I love it. But, where was I going? Apple, oh, geez, it's left me. Oh, I'm sure it was amazing, but it's gone. I'm sorry. So let's get back on track. Probably better anyway. Sorry to leave you all hanging. Isn't that the worst? Like, no, you know, give me the. It's like saying to somebody, hey, I need to talk to you about something, and you say, what's that? And I go, oh, never mind. Like, no, you can't do that. But I did that. I'm sorry. I don't know where I was going with that. But you know, compared to corporate America, oh, I remember now. So. This article said that if Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, who are the founders of Apple, if they went to Apple today and filled out a resume, they wouldn't even get a phone call because those two guys were college dropouts, and you can't even have a sales job at Apple unless you've got a degree, and they prefer an advanced degree to do sales. Can you imagine? So the founder of, it's just crazy. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak could not even get a job at Apple today, yet they're the ones that created that staggering success story. And that's because that's not a fair business model. If you want to be the CEO, you probably should start your own company, you know? And that's what's great about Legal Shield. The day you sign up as Legal Shield, you are a CEO. You can go and get, you know, my business cards say C.S. Hughes International, CEO, you know, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Visionary Officer, C.S. Hughes. I'm the CEO of a multi-million-dollar enterprise. That's the way I see myself. And in Legal Shield, there's unlimited Platinum Executive Director positions. They don't say, okay, we only have 30 positions, and it's the first 30 there, you get it. All the rest of you schmucks have to stay at director level. No, it's unlimited Platinum Executive Director, unlimited Executive Director positions. Whereas in corporate structure, only one, maybe two positions available at the top. It is an unfair business model. Corporate America, network marketing, the most fair business model available to anyone. Let's look at traditional business. You've got an owner. Let's say of a print shop. He or she starts to hire employees. You train all of your employees. You give them everything that you've got, and they start thinking, look, this isn't that hard. They go to the bank, they get a loan, and they open up their own print shop down the road. Now, what you've done in that traditional business model is you recruited and trained your competition. You brought them in, you trained them, you gave them all your trade secrets, and then they broke away from you and they started their own company right down the road. And that could happen with any traditional business. What you're doing in a traditional business when you recruit someone, hire someone, and you train them, you're training, not all of them, but some of them are going to be direct competitors to your business, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the business model that you're in traditional business. In the insurance model, you've got the owner of the insurance company, the broker. They can bring on insurance agents. The agents, the only way for an agent to become an owner or a broker is to break away. So you bring on an agent, you train them, you give them your best stuff, and then the next thing you know, they're leaving. They've started their own insurance company, and now you have competition that you trained. Same with real estate. The only way for an agent to become a broker is to quit you. They have to walk away from your brokerage and invest the money to become a broker themselves. They've got to, and now they're across the street or across town, and they're your direct competition. And isn't it weird that you recruited them, you trained them, you motivated them, you invested in them, you spent time on them, you sacrificed for them, and now they're your competition? Well, you know what? That's the model. That's how things work over there. Well, let's look at network marketing, specifically Legal Shield, which is the most fair business model available to anybody. In Legal Shield, let's say you want to be an executive director, you recruit, you've got a few directors on your team. You're now an executive director, you're making $5,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 a month, depending upon your production and the maturity of your organization. Well, let's say your first director there is looking at you and they go, look, I like you, but I want some of that money. I want to be an executive director. In the traditional model, what would they have to do? They would have to quit you, leave you behind, go across the street, start up their own business. But in network marketing, they don't have to go anywhere because it's the most fair business model available to anyone. What you've got to create, if you really want to create an environment where free enterprise just goes crazy, here's how you do it. You have to create an environment where the people that you're bringing on board have the same opportunity that you have. And in the traditional business, insurance, real estate, that's not there. When you bring them on, you're the boss. They can't ever have the same opportunity that you have. The only way they can do that is if they leave you. And you created your own competition. In Legal Shield, anytime anybody gets the bug, I want to be an executive. I want to be a platinum. I want to be a millionaire club member. I want to be bronze, silver, gold. I want to be diamond, whatever. They don't have to leave you. They just go out and start building a team. And look what happened. Let me go through this again. You're an executive director, let's say, and that number one person, they want to go executive too. Well, look what happens. They start building a team. They go executive director. You go bronze. Isn't that beautiful? By helping other people get what they want, you can get whatever it is that you want. Well, now the second person there in the example, they go, oh, I want to be an executive. So they go executive and you go silver. And then that third person says, I want to go executive. And you go gold. And then that fourth person says, oh, I want to go executive. And you go platinum. Right? And this continues in depth. Anybody, anywhere can go executive director. They can go platinum. They don't have to break away. They don't have to go across town. They don't have to go across the street. They don't have to find another team. They don't have to do anything. They just have to continue doing what it is that they've been trained to do. Isn't that brilliant? I mean, that just boggles my mind that somebody came up with a system like this. Network marketing, Legal Shield is the most fair business model available to anyone. Let's go through a couple of truths. Network marketing is the most fair business model available to anyone. You've got to get this in your heart and get it in your head and know our business rocks. our profession rocks, that we're doing good, and that we're helping people, we're not hurting anybody, and that we earn income at the service of others and not at the expense of others. Y'all, you've got to get this. You just have to understand we are about doing good. We're not hurting anybody. We're not hurting anybody with the product. I mean, if somebody buys the service and for whatever reason they don't want to keep it, I can't imagine that, but we all know that's the reality. There's some people that are that way. Worst case scenario, they get their will done. They're out $39, or $20 or whatever to get their will done. Did you hurt them? No, you didn't hurt them. Somebody gets started in Legal Shield, a couple $100. They're in Legal Shield. They get their money back with just a few individuals. They're promoted. No, we are helping people. We are blessing people. We're not going over there to twist their arms. We're going over there to help them fill a void. We're going over there to help them be a better husband, to be a better wife, to be a better father, to be a better mother, to buy back their freedom from the bank, to be able to travel and see the world. It's the most fair business model available to anybody. Why would we not want to share this with people? So, we've talked about those reasons. They don't know why to recruit. I hope we've helped with that. They're fearful. We've talked about some of those reasons that people are fearful. There's a great book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I think that's the recipe. You've just got to step through it. I mean, how did you learn to ride a bike? I mean, you know how scared you were riding that bike? Your mom or dad or caretaker was behind you, and you started to wobble, and and you're so scared. But how did you learn? You felt the fear, but you just did it anyway. And you're going to go through the same process with Legal Shield. Of course you're going to feel fear. But do you want to learn to ride the bike or not? Do you want to feel the wind in your hair or not? Do you want to build something? Create a legacy for your family or not? Do you want to pay off that debt or not? Do you want to get out of that job or not? Feel the fear and do it anyway. Get on that bike and ride. The fourth reason is they don't know how. They lack the knowledge. And number 5, they lack the skill. And that's what these webinars are all about. But as I've indicated, we're just building the foundation right now. So let's move forward. This is Artemis Limpert. I think, again, one of the greatest trainers in network marketing. She asks the question, are you the type of person who can learn anything, even if it takes you a little while, or are you uniquely defective? Isn't that fantastic? I mean, what a profound question. And it's funny, too. I mean, that's a funny question. So let me ask you a question. Are you the type of person who believes that you can learn anything, even if it takes you a little while, or are you the kind of person who's uniquely defective? Now, there are some people who may say, I am uniquely defective, and they may need a psychiatrist, they may need some therapist, they may need some psychotherapy. I don't know, and I'm certainly not making light of that, but there are some people who, for whatever reason, maybe the way they're born, or is there a tragedy in life, or what have you, a chemical imbalance, some sort of psychosis, they just don't operate, and they just don't have the capacity to learn new things, to stay around long enough, to take notes, to assimilate, to practice, drill, and rehearse, practice, drill, and rehearse. So I'm going to ask you that question. I want you to answer it. Are you the type of person who can learn anything, even if it takes you a little while, or are you uniquely defective? I've known people in Legal Shield who, for 10 years, still say, I'm just not a good recruiter. I'm just not good at recruiting. Recruiting is my weakness. Recruiting's not my thing. And I just scratch my head and think, I don't want to say anything to them, but sometimes I just want to ask the question, are you uniquely defective? Are you, and I'm going to start doing this, by the way. I'm not trying to be flippant, Joe. I'm not trying to be flippant, Mary, but are you the type of person that feels like you can learn anything if you had enough time? Or do you consider yourself uniquely defective? Because if you are the type of person who can learn anything, then learn it. I mean, go after recruiting, master recruiting. How many books do you have in your house, in your library about recruiting? How many conferences have you been to? How many videotapes do you have about recruiting? How many webinars have you attended about recruiting? How many audio programs do you have about recruiting? I mean, if you're not uniquely defective, 5 years, 10 years is too long to still be singing that song. I'm not good at recruiting. What? You're so smart. You're not uniquely defective. You're intelligent. Yeah, I know you read the books. You go to all the events. It's a matter of choice. It's a matter of decision. Most people never master recruiting because they never make a decision. I will master recruiting. I will master network marketing. I'm going to build a business like Brian Crothers, like Darnell Self, like Dave Savola. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm going to stop using these lame excuses. I'm going to stop with the limiting beliefs and this negativity that I'm spewing, and I'm going to figure it out. Once and for all, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to learn how to become a recruiting pro. And congratulations to all of you, because you're all here. The people on my team that need this training the most, they're probably not here. Because they're too busy saying things like, well, I've always struggled with recruiting. I'm just not a good recruiter. All right, you get my drift. Here's some recruiting concepts that you must learn and own. You got to learn these, but you've got to own these. Meaning you've got to assimilate them. They've got to become part of your DNA. It can't just be, you can't be like, whoa, what was that thing he said? What was that? Oh, what did he say? How to exposure? What's the first step? You can't be like that, y'all. And by the way, I built this PowerPoint, with all these recruiting concepts without any reference to any notes. I sat down and I started building this PowerPoint, this keynote presentation, because it's part of me. It's in my DNA. I've learned this stuff from the books, the audios, the seminars, the briefings, the Super Saturdays, the conventions, and practicing it in the marketplace, seeing that it works, teaching it to new associates, seeing that it works. So it's hardwired into me. Now, as I get into these recruiting concepts, I want to make another distinction, that I see recruiting and duplication as one great whole. I don't see recruiting as one piece of the puzzle and duplication as the other piece of the puzzle. I see them both together. If you're going to recruit, why not recruit in a way that duplicates? Do you want all of your success to be linear and based upon you, or do you want this thing to grow away from you, for you to get 3, they get 3, they get 3, they get 3, and so on and so forth? I know we all want that. And so if you want that, as Stephen Covey says, you've got to begin with the end in mind. So what is the end? I want an organization of 1 million people. I want an organization of 100,000 people or 50,000 people or whatever it is. Okay, well, if that's the end, then you've got to not only recruit, but you've got to do it in a way that duplicates. If you're going to build a big network marketing business, you must always do what duplicates, not what works. I've had people tell me, they recruited a lot, but they had no duplication. I said, how's that working for you? They go, it's going great, man. I'm a top recruiter, I'm always in the performance club. Well, that's really good for you. And these are people that are meeting people at, Starbucks and doing 1-hour presentations. And they're getting them in, not all of them, but they're getting some of them. But then I asked the question, how's your team doing? What do you mean? Well, how are they doing? You're getting them in. How are they doing? What's your fast start qualification percentage on your 3rd level? How many sales do you have coming out of your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th level in your organization? See, these are people that are focused on what works, not on what duplicates. And so much of what people do in the professional selling environment, the B2B environment, they've got to be very, very effective. So they do what works. And that's why it's so challenging for people to cross over, because over here, we don't talk about any of that fancy pants stuff. We don't get into all that, the B2B discussion. We don't get into the selling strategies. We use tools and events, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But if you're going to build a big network marketing business, you've got to do what duplicates and not what works. Okay, here's a few more recruiting concepts you must learn, master, own, and allow them to become part of you. The secret to building a big network marketing business is getting a large group of people to do a few simple things consistently over a long period of time. Key word, simple. Why does it have to be simple, or what is simple? The definition of simple is something that anyone can do, with or without sales skills, with or without business experience, with or without education, with or without confidence. Right? They got to be able to do it. Something that anyone can do is simple. And simple is duplication. If everything you do is simple, and by the way, what are those few simple things consistently over a long period of time? 10 core commitments, 2 exposures a day, briefing a week, training, get on your conference calls, do your personal development, go to your Super Saturday, go to your convention, get a workout partner, send long distance packages, right? Just simple stuff. It's just a few simple things consistently over a long period of time. Simple means that everybody can do it. It's something everybody can do, which is going to create duplication in the organization. Here's a couple of terms I want you that I need to define for you. First party is you. First party defined is you in the context of this discussion. Third party is anything that's not you. Okay, you got it? So anything that's not you. CD, DVD, website, physical call, webinar, business briefing, your upline, 3-way call, anything that's not you is third party. Well, here's a recruiting concept you've got to learn and own. Always use third-party tools. First party might work better if you're a great salesperson or a great communicator, or maybe you've got massive reach, you're a center of influence. You can get them in on first party, good for you, but it's not going to duplicate because not everybody else has what you have. But if you keep it simple, which means it's something everybody can do, then not only can you do it, but they can do it, and the people they bring in can do it, and the people they bring in can do it, and so on and so forth. Here's another one you've got to understand. Recruiting is a process. It's not an event. One of my critiques over the last 4 or 5 years, as I've seen in Legal Shield, is we seem to, in large part, we seem to have made recruiting a process. We're sitting down with people and showing them a 45, 50-minute video, or we're doing flip chart presentations where they're seeing the entire business briefing, the exact same slides that they're seeing at the business briefing. Why go to the briefing? I already saw everything. I saw the full presentation. What are they going to do at that briefing? Well, they're going to do the presentation. What, like this one? Well, yeah, like that, but there's going to be more people. Well, I don't need more people. I got it. Let me pray about it. Let me get with my spouse. I'll think about it. I'll get back to you. Right? Recruiting is a process. It's not an event. It should take 3 to 7 exposures in order to recruit someone. If you're recruiting someone on the first, just you're in and you're with them for an hour and you sign them up, well, that's great, but I want to know how good they're duplicating and how good are their people duplicating. You can win the battle and lose the war. The battle is recruiting them. The war is duplication. That's why I see them as one part. So remember, it's going to take 3 to 7 exposures in order to recruit somebody. You might do a sizzle call. You might, let them see a web video. Maybe you do a 3-way call. Then you get them to the business briefing. That's 4 exposures right there. Almost everyone that comes into Legal Shield, certainly the ones that go on to duplicate, replicate, and build massive organizations, almost all of them had 3 to 7 exposures on average. You got to understand that. Let's stop making recruiting an event, a sit-down event where I sit down, I'm going to recruit you, and let's start making it a process. More on that. Exposure is everything. If you're not exposing every single day in Legal Shield, you're not in business. Exposure is everything. But where's the fortune? The fortune is in the follow-up. So yes, exposure is everything, but where's the fortune? Again, the fortune is in the follow-up. And only work with the willing. This includes prospects and associates. If your prospects are not progressing, they're not keeping their word, they're not doing doing what it is that they said they would do, they're not returning your call, they're not returning your text, why are you still blowing them up? Leave them alone. Only work with the willing. Brian Crothers used to say all the time, You can run with 1,000, but you can't carry one person on your back. You know, get the monkeys off your back. Run with the people that want to run, your prospects included. These are recruiting concepts that you've got to learn and you've got to own. In order to recruit large numbers of people and continue to recruit large numbers of people, the how you recruit them must be systematic. Otherwise, it's not sustainable, you'll wear yourself out, and it's not duplicatable. Okay, don't we want sustainable and duplicatable? Don't we want a long career here with Legal Shield? Yes, then what you're doing needs to be sustainable. Okay, if you're going to recruit large numbers of people and continue doing that, the way you do that needs to be sustainable, needs to be systematic, it needs to be duplicatable. Here's what we do. Recruiting concepts you got to learn and own. Here's why our business is so simple. Check this out. This is all we do. You're either going to take information to the people, or you're going to take the people to the information. That's it. That's our business. That is sustainable. It's duplicatable. It's replicatable. It's something everybody can do. You take tools to the people, information to the people, or you take the people to the information. That's it. Now, I would recommend that you take the information to the people, if at all possible, first, and then get them to a live event. Now, luncheons, a lot of times people will get people to a luncheon. That'll be kind of their first exposure. And that's fine. But I would recommend, certainly for the business briefing, because of all the psychology and the dynamics that are involved in a business briefing, that you get the people some information, third-party tool, get them to the events. That's what we do. That's our system. Could it possibly get any more simple than that? We do tools and events, tools and events, tools and events. Jeff Hughes showed me a tool. Jeff and Cindy Hughes, they showed me a tool. They took me to an event. I signed up. I got a tool. I shared it with some guys. They were interested. I took them to the event. They signed up. They got a video. We started sharing information with people. We took the people to the information. Information with people to the information. Tools and events, tools and events, tools and events. That's a system that's sustainable. It's replicatable. It's duplicatable. It's repeatable. It's simple. It's something everybody can do. And by the way, we are so far off track. And I know that we're working from Jeff Bell down to get us back on track with these very simplistic recruiting activities and systems. When we first came on board, maybe when I was in 2 or 3 years, we used audio tapes back in the day, and there was a few of them. Dave Savola had an audio tape. The company had another audio tape, and I heard somebody say once at a training, he says, people ask me which tape is the best tape, and I tell them duct tape. And I thought that was so funny and so clever. But we can't use that anymore because tapes are from an era gone by. Today we use discs. But we used to use tape. So the best tape is duct tape. You want to use your mouth to build relationships, build rapport, get acquainted, talk about current events or whatever, you're being a person, you're building relationships. But outside of that, when you get into the recruiting mode, please, family, Legal Shield family, you've got to get this. If your mouth is moving, you must be either pointing at something, reading something like a Profiles of Success, introducing them to someone like your upline or the local market leader, or telling a story. Man, this is an important slide, and I hope you get it. If your mouth is moving, you must be either pointing, reading, introducing, or telling a story. If your mouth is moving and you're not pointing, reading, introducing, or telling a story, you're outside the system. You're doing something that might work, but it's not going to duplicate. So make sure that you get this, that if your mouth is moving, the next time you're talking to a prospect about the business, if your mouth is moving, ask yourself the question, am I pointing at something? Am I reading something? Am I introducing them? Am I telling a story? If you're not meeting one of those 4 criteria, you need to get some duct tape. It will help you. You'll do better with duct tape on your mouth and handing somebody a DVD or watching it at their house or sending them to a web video than you would trying to do it all with your mouth. Drip, don't douse. Drip, don't douse. We want to drip on people. We just want to give them a little information. We just want to pique their curiosity. When they start asking questions and things, leave them wanting. Get them to the business briefing so they can see it all and feel it all. Not giving your prospect enough information is far better than drowning them with it. You want to give them just enough so that they want more, and then you give them more at the business briefing or the luncheon or the Super Saturday. If you give them all the info, we talked about this earlier, but there's no reason for them to go to the briefing. You already gave it to them. So give it to them in bite-sized pieces. Pique their event. Drip on them. Here's a little information. Here's a little more information. Here's a little more information. You're getting your multiple exposures this way. Hey, did I tell you about, Darnell Self? Did I tell you about Joe Blow? Did I tell you about Jeff Hughes? Did I tell you about, whoever the person is? Oh, you've got to meet them. You've got to hear their story. You're dripping. You're just letting them talk to somebody else. They get to hear another success story. Drip, drip, drip. You're not dousing them. Don't be needy. Like dogs can sense fear, right? They don't know why, but they can pick up on this something, and a dog doesn't say, "Oh, hey, that person is afraid of me." It's not a conscious. They're not putting a finger on it, right? It's instinct. It's in the genetic code. They have this ability to sense it, and then it freaks them out. And now the person who was scared in the first place has even more reasons to be scared, and it's this downward cycle. Well, your prospects can sense your desperation. They can sense it. They may not be able to put a finger on it. They may not consciously say, "Oh my gosh, this person is so desperate." Now, sometimes they will, especially if you're, like this guy. Please, 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 please sign up. Please, please, please do the business. You'd be so good at it. Oh, come on. We'll make $1 million. Come on, sign up with me. I need a performance club point. Please. Don't be needy. Don't do that. You've got to have posture. And having posture looks like this. You've got to understand that they need you. You don't need them. You don't need them. And I know you say, "Well, I got to build a team and I need my performance club points." I get that. But the sooner that you can get to the point in your own mind and be like a tiger, right? Be fierce. James Bond, you're outside, you're like a tiger, but inside, what are you? You're calm, cool, and collected. On the outside, I don't know if I said that right. Inside, you're like a tiger. Outside, calm, cool, collected. So you just got to know, look, I have the solutions to your financial freedom. I can get you out of that job. I have what you need to be able to be a stay-at-home mom, to be a stay-at-home dad, to be able to retire your parents with dignity, to be able to get out of debt, travel the world, do the things you always wanted to do. I am your gateway, homeboy. Come on. This is where you have to be. You've got to be in this place where, yes, they need me. I don't need them. And by the way, while we're at it, I want to give you a little tip. There's a book, I'm forgetting the name of the book right now, but it's about how to pitch. Maybe that's what it's called, How to Pitch Anything, or maybe it's Pitch Anything. But it's a book. I interviewed the author of this book, but amazing book. And this is a guy that goes into companies and asks for millions of dollars. That's his job, and he's done that. Can you imagine going into a company and asking for millions of dollars? We're asking for $39.90. And this guy goes out and asks for millions of dollars. Here's something that he taught me, and I think it's so great. He says, don't ever say thank you to a prospect. Don't ever say thank you to a company, because that puts you, they're seeing this whole experience through the old animal, that reptilian brain. And their fight or flight mechanism is working, and the ego's flaring. And, you think that they're listening with this sweet, conscientious, enlightened mind. They're going to hear your sales pitch. But it's not true. And so he says that when you say thank you, you have hey, thank you for making the time with me today. I know you're busy, so I'll make it quick. When you do that, you have made the company the alpha, and you've made yourself inferior. So we don't thank prospects for their time. We congratulate them. We congratulate them for taking a few minutes. This guy in his Pitch Anything book, he says that he walks in and says, all right, well, I'm glad I was able to make time to come in today. I mean, can you imagine? He's going there to ask for millions of dollars, and he tells them that he's glad he was able to make time. And he says he's able to say it in such a way that's so subtle that it's picked up by that animal part of the old part of the brain, and it puts them in the inferior position. It puts you in the superior position. You become the alpha. So really, it's so subtle. So when I'm trying to get in the habit now, when I do business briefings, we used to say, especially as a host, well, hey, thank you so much for coming out. I'm trying to just get rid of that now and just say, hey, congratulations to all of you who are invited to participate this evening. Legal Shield's in the midst of a $1 billion expansion all across North America, and whoever it was that invited you here tonight thought enough of you to include you in the possibility of our expansion project. So again, congratulations. Right? That kind of language. Very subtle, but it lets them know we don't need you. We're testing you out. You may or may not even qualify. You don't want to say things like that because that's too obvious. They'll pick up on that and think you're an arrogant jerk. But there are things that you can say that will communicate to that old brain. Anyway, wish we had more time for that. Let's move on. Next, educate your expectations. You've got to divorce yourself emotionally from the outcome. You've got to know, as you educate your expectations, is everybody going to buy this? Nope. Everybody going to join your team? Nope. Of all the people that join your team, are they all going to get Fast Start qualified? Nope. Currently, my percentage is 24% for my entire organization. That's not good. It's better than the company average, but we can do better, and there's a lot that's going to happen at conventions that's going to drive that way, 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 way up. There was a time in the past we were qualifying 40 to 50% of the people, but even then, is everybody going to Fast Start qualify? Nope. So you have to know that going into this. Why would you be upset emotionally about something that you knew was the fact of the matter? You knew it was going to be the case. So you just kind of have to spend a few minutes and realize, when you get up to bat, you're either going to get on base or you're not. That's it. There's a great possibility you're going to get on base. There's a great possibility that you're not. If you strike out or you fly out or whatever, you don't go punch yourself in the face when you get in the dugout. It's like, well, that's the way it is. It's just, as Jim Rohn says, just the way it is. So you've got to divorce yourself emotionally from the outcome. You just got to know that some will, some won't. That's the way it is. You can't control other people. You got to know that. That's part of educating your expectations. Not everybody's going to do the business, and the ones who do, most won't stay. And if the ones, it looks like we've got an extra bullet point there, but if the ones who do, most won't go to the top. That's called the way it is. But guess what? Some will. If you recruit enough people who recruit enough people who recruit enough people, you've got an executive director organization. You've got a platinum organization. So don't be like this guy. He thought that his best friend was going to do the business. This was me. 15 years ago, I went to talk to my buddy Jeff. I thought for sure he would sign up. He dissed me, man. He turned the video off. He went and turned off the VCR and gave me my tape back. So this is what you came to talk about. We're done talking. I mean, that was me, And the reason why I was so upset is because in my mind, I assumed that he would do it. Well, why did I assume he would do it? I had no reason to assume he'd do it. I didn't educate my expectations. I created an unrealistic expectation for myself. So don't do that. Know that recruiting is a numbers game. You're just pushing through the numbers. Amateurs convince, professionals sort. And by the way, let me change that. You're not pushing through the numbers. You're moving through the numbers. You're just moving through the numbers. Right? Doesn't that feel better? Pushing feels so forceful. That's not what we're doing. We're moving through the numbers. You're just moving through the numbers. And that dovetails perfectly with this slide. Amateurs convince, professionals sort. Amateurs try to change suspects into prospects. They try to change people that are never going to perform above a 3. They're trying to change them to an ace. Why not let the 3s do 3, as the Bible teaches, and the 6s do 6, and the 10s do 10s? And you just keep flipping the deck. You just keep prospecting. You just keep going through your list. You just keep exposing people and inviting them to the live events. You just keep flipping and flipping and flipping. And if you do that long enough, you're going to find an ace. And then you'll find another one, and you'll find another one. Don't try to convince people. Just sift and sort. Just sort. We're in the sifting and sorting business, not the convincing and cajoling. We're just sifting and sorting. Now, this is an actual picture I grabbed from the internet from a gold mining operation. Now, they have educated their expectations. They came, I mean, look at that equipment. You know, they didn't come with a little pan, you know, to try to find gold in the river. They came with educated expectations, knowing that they were going to have to move tons and tons and tons and tons of dirt to find a couple ounces of gold. They know that. They came prepared for that. And here's what you've got to know in the recruiting game. You've got to recruit. You've got to have a lot of prospects. You've got to be adding to your prospect list every single day on top of what you started with when you're brand new with your names list. You've got to be adding to that. But you've also got to know that most of those people aren't going to join you. And again, of the ones who do, most of them aren't going to do anything. And the ones who do, most won't stay long term. And the ones who do, right, won't go to the top. And the ones who do won't, you know, even if they go to the top, they won't stay at the top. Right? And there's a very small number of people, again, those aces, it's just 4 out of a deck of 52. And you might find that it's even less than that. You might have to recruit, you know, 30, 40 people just to find an ace. But again, isn't it worth it? And isn't that better than the alternative of retiring broke, which 95% of the country do? Isn't that better? Just sift and sort. Don't convince. Know that you have to move a lot of dirt. That's what we do. We move the dirt, move the dirt, move the dirt, move the dirt, move the dirt. Let people sift and sort themselves out, right? You come into the briefing. If they come, they'll sign up. If they don't, they don't. Fine, whatever. I'm not going to play God. We just sift and sort, move the dirt, move the dirt, move the dirt, move the dirt, move the dirt. Look at this nugget, right? Oh my gosh, look at this. Is that gold? Yeah, that's gold. You got, what do you got? You got an ace. But you can't do the happy dance forever. You got to celebrate, you know, when you get somebody fast start qualified, get somebody to go manager, go director, then moving up through the ranks, executive director. But what are you doing then? Then you're moving the dirt, moving the dirt, moving the dirt, moving the dirt. It's what we do. And if you know that there's just a little bit of gold in a ton of dirt, you expect that. And you're able then to move all the dirt and not cry yourself to sleep and think, well, woe is me and it's not working. You know, I want to be platinum. It's not working. You know, you just don't get like that. You just move the dirt, move the dirt, move the dirt, move the dirt. And I know some of you might be thinking, well, I don't want to do that. This sounds like a lot of work. It is. And you may or may not want to do this. But what's the alternative? Do you have a better plan of making $40,000 a month? Or $10,000 a month? Or $100,000 a month? Like some of the folks in Legal Shield are doing? Check this out. A wheelbarrow, if you have 282 wheelbarrows, you'll have enough gold flecks and specks and pieces and chunks and little nuggets. If you fill up 282 wheelbarrows, you'll have 1 ounce of gold, assuming you're in an area that has gold in the dirt. Is that crazy? And guess what? They do it. Why? Because it's worth it. They have the tools, they have the expertise, they have the knowledge, the skill set, and all the rest, and they know that if I get 282 wheelbarrows full of dirt, I've got 1 ounce of gold. Then they can just run the numbers. Well, how many ounces of gold do we need to get this summer to make it a profitable season? They figure that out. They work it backwards. It's a recipe. They go, okay, y'all, look, we've got to go through 80,000 tons or maybe 800,000 tons of dirt this summer in order for all of us to make X amount of dollars. Well, the good news is you don't have to go through that much dirt in Legal Shield. I mean, that's a crazy number. 282 wheelbarrows to get 1 troy ounce, 1 ounce of gold. But it's a good example. It's a good visual to keep in mind that we're moving the dirt. But in enough dirt is an ace. And if you continue to move the dirt, and this may be a little coarse example. I know people aren't dirt. I get that. But it's a great visual and a great comparison. All right. Well, we're about done. We've gone a full hour, maybe even a little bit more than an hour. Um, Here's what we need to know as we wrap up. The $149 is going to $249 at convention. So we need to recruit in June, and this is why I'm doing this. To help us all to recruit more people in June, to recruit more people in July, because it is for sure going to $249 when we get to convention. So we need to recruit now, just get as many people as we can to say, look, you've been on the fence. It's getting ready to go to $249. Next month, when we go to convention, they're going to make that announcement. Get in this month, save $100. Now, your homework assignments for today is to figure out why it's urgent. Why, not why should you recruit. I want you to figure out why it's urgent for you to recruit. Recruit, never get them out of order. Number one, write that down. Why is it urgent? Why is it urgent for you to recruit? Number two, I want you to start reworking your names list. And I want to challenge you to be prospecting every day, everywhere you go. Just be meeting people. Make a friend. Shake a hand. Give a compliment. Hey, by the way, what do you do? Oh, really? How long have you been doing that? Oh, you must love it. Oh, that's great. You talked to them for a while. Hey, it was really, really nice chatting with you. I really enjoyed it. Nice to meet you. Yeah, nice to meet you too. Hey, by the way, have you got a card? Oh, no, I don't have a card. Oh, could I get your number? I'd love to stay in touch. Right? Maybe we can network together, depending on what the person does. But that's your homework. That's the homework that we're all going to do this week. Couple things before we finish. This was the foundation, by the way. We established the foundation for recruiting. I want to challenge you all to watch this at least 3 times. At least 3 times. I know it's an hour, and I know it's a big commitment. Maybe you need to, listen to it. Don't watch it, but listen to it when you're driving to work, or maybe when you're in the shower getting ready for the day. But you're not going to get all this in one time. I want to challenge you to at least go through it 3 times before next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about prospecting in the recruiting system. The webinar will be at the same time, 8 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Mountain, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to invite your team. Everybody's welcome. It's totally team neutral, team specific. It's why I've used my blog, cshughes.com, to host all the information. I didn't want everybody going to my team site within Legal Shield. I just use a generic personal development site. And keep in mind, again, all webinars and PDF versions of this PowerPoint will be archived at cshughes.com/webinar. Y'all, I hope I've helped. I hope that I've given you a nugget or two, something to think about. And, I think we're on our last slide. We are. That is the end of the webinar. So we'll see you all next week. Make sure that you're here on time. We're going to jump right in. And we'll talk to you then. Bye for now.